Hello and welcome to Deep Dive. We're your hosts. I'm Joseph.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Jack.
And today we're going to be talking about the depth of AI. We're going to talk about AI in music, AI in art, and AI in video editing.
I have a live demo for you guys. So you never understand something until you fully see it. So pull up my handy dandy open art generator, which is freemium. So it does graphics, anything you want AI art to generate, it will do that. And then for this trial, I'm going to have my co-hosts generate some pictures that they would like to see and see how accurate the AI gets it. So, Jack, would you like to pick a prompt?
Oh boy. Let me think. I might need to come back around and.
Okay, Jojo,
Sorry.
would you like to pick a prompt?
Man, you put me on the spot. All right. How about a warrior walking a dog?
All right, and then Jack, pick a model based on the screen. Do that instead.
This stable diffusion.
Stable diffusion, all right, you got it. And then going over some basic features here, negative prompt means stuff that you don't want to see in the image, so we're just going to put general for now, which allows for the image to be more clean. And then how many images would you guys like to generate? Sample size.
Let's do 3.
3? Okay, you got it.
Magic number.
Yeah.
I'm going to do square as well.
Three's a good number.
Yeah. And then CFG scale means how close you want it to resemble the prompt, which I'm going to turn it up to about 13. Steps we'll keep at 40. Let's see what we get for this generation.
It's pretty fast. Let's see, it's going to do it in probably about under a minute here. I mean, AI is good for speed, I would say.
Yeah. Plus the internet connection factors in with this kind of stuff.
That's true.
Let's preview one of the images while the other two loads.
Oh,
So,
interesting.
how would you guys rate this image?
That's like
It's
10 out of 10 to me.
it's good. Like,
Like-
it's really good actually.
Anything poor quality noticing or no?
I feel like if I were to like pixel peep, I might be able to find some stuff. But when you just look at that, it's just like an image. It's actually
good.
really good. I mean, there's the warrior, and he's walking his dog.
And there's also a mini dog in the bottom left,
Yeah.
so maybe it could have got that a bit better, but
Oh yeah,
Oh
that's weird.
no, I like the mini dog.
mini dog.
That is kind of funny.
Let's see if any others generated.
The
Oh
foot
wait,
looks a little
wait,
weird.
yeah, look at his foot.
Yeah.
Actually,
yeah.
I know what it did. It combined the dog's
dog
leg
foot,
and the human's leg together. See? Because the
Yeah,
dog only
see.
has 3 legs. And then, so AI is still a little wonky there.
It's weird that it does that.
Slightly better, maybe. Without the foot jankiness. A little bit crooked on
Slightly
his,
better, but his
His
leg is
leg,
like
yeah.
bent really unnatural. And then there's like 2 like things coming out of
Yeah, I
him.
think they're
which
supposed to imitate his sword, but they kind of messed that up.
it's maybe not as good. I don't know. It's
Okay.
hard to tell.
Last one.
That was a long dog.
Long dog, yes.
A dog with 3 legs.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
He tried meshing that
It
foot
looks
in
like
again.
he's got a shoe on that one and a barefoot on that one,
Yeah.
and then he's got like 2 ends of a sword. It doesn't understand the story. It does not like that.
Okay.
Interesting. Let's look at all 3 of them there.
Combined, yes.
Yeah.
Which one would you rate the best?
Honestly, maybe the first one. I think it
First
looks the most realistic, as long as you don't stare too hard.
Yeah.
The longer you look, the more you'll notice it's, the realism falls apart a bit.
Still kind of cool.
Yeah. And for how fast it did it, I mean.
Yeah, pretty good for what it can do.
Yeah. It might not be super precise, but it's really imaginative, like what it can create. Because like it's a lot of the images are like well balanced and stuff, and just how they make it.
Would be great for a young artist to maybe inspire to.
Yeah, yeah,
then
definitely.
Let's get some inspiration, try and make something of their own.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say about it is I think it's interesting how it took the word warrior. So obviously
Yeah.
I picked warrior,
'Cause ESU, yeah.
ESU, and I was actually kind of thinking it would draw like a knight, like in like or something like that, something maybe closer to that.
Yeah.
But I feel like that reminds me of maybe like a samurai, like
Yeah.
China or Japan, or like some like kind of Asian warrior. Like I don't know, that I think that's very interesting that all three of those have the same kind of style. And you look at all three. Can you see all
Yes.
three of them again? They all are on like that yellow
Sepia tone background.
paper. Yeah, that it looks like maybe it would
Ancient
be like on a scroll, like
yeah.
an H. Yeah, exactly. It's got that kind of vibe. I think it's very interesting that the AI takes some liberties and things like that too, because we didn't specify that,
No, we didn't.
and so I think that's pretty cool.
Speaking of
Cool.
the things that are cool, I'm going to let my co-host Jack here decide to show some of his cool stuff with AI in music.
All right. Well, I mean, for one thing, it's being used in the music industry, like outside of the music itself, but it's sort of being used to distribute or sort of like recommend music to people, because streaming services are the big thing these days. So I think a really big example of that happening today is Spotify's DJ feature, which is supposed to sort of select music, and that uses like an AI voice to like sort of imitate DJs and like how they used to work with that. And it sort of like segments the music into like 5-song sections. So it keeps everything going fresh. It also tries to like challenge your music taste. I've actually done some reading, and it shows the only part of this that is actually like technically AI is the voice, which is based off of one of their executives, which is I think it's pretty cool. Like it sounds pretty convincing. At first I didn't really like the feature, but it's become a pretty good thing to go to, for me at least, when I get bored not listening to music. I wasn't sure if it was entirely necessary that they use AI, but I think the main takeaway from this is companies all around are using the term AI as like a marketing sort of term, because that's what people like these days, and that's like what the new tech thing is. So they utilize AI to improve your experience, even if it's not that big of a thing that they change. The word tends to draw people in. But I do think outside of that, there's the AI generated music and that whole beast. And I actually have a couple little audio clips to play for you guys. Hope it gets through the mics.
I would say just put it on like full volume, and maybe
Yeah.
it'll pick up.
Yeah. So this first one, I'm just gonna play it.
Yeah.
If you know Green Day.
Do you have the time to listen to me whine about nothing and everything all at once?
So that's like a little sample of it, but that's Frank Sinatra's AI-generated cover of Basket Case.
Could I just jump in here? If you did not tell me that was AI generated, I would have no idea.
Right, it sounds
That
pretty good,
sounded
right?
extremely accurate to Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, it's weird.
Wow.
How they get like all the like solo
Yeah.
fills, it's weird.
That.
Yeah, but that's one example. I also have another one. This is a Radiohead song called Just, but they continue it after like 1 second of it playing. This is older, but this sort of still kind of shows what it can do. So that's another. You can tell they still, if you know the song, they still use some of the lyrics from the song, but it's kind of strange how they continue it. It's like almost like it sounds like something like almost like you're listening to it or like on an old radio or something, but it kind of just sounds like white noise,
Yeah.
like just what what
when I was
90s
listening
pop
to
rock
that,
sounds
I
like.
was trying to pick out the lyrics, and there was some parts of it where the drums were very prominent, but I could not make out any like
Yeah.
words. I think AI struggles with like words and stuff,
Yeah.
probably.
Plus, it's from like 2 years ago or so. So this was it was a lot different back then. So it wouldn't really put like specific words, but like vocalizations. You can tell it's supposed to kind of sound like like 90s Radiohead stuff. But I don't know
That's
that.
crazy.
I think the learning models, especially considering that basket case cover, have gotten a lot better. And then I have one more. This is not based on any particular song. This is just AI generated progressive metal. And there's this YouTube video out there that's just 10 hours of just continuous progressive metal generated by AI. So I'm just playing a little snippet of it. So, I don't know. I think it's gotten a bit more clear. That's newer. I think it's a matter of like sound quality when it comes to AI-generated music. But there's this other song I've been hearing about. It was supposed to be like Drake and The Weeknd, but it wasn't actually them. It was just an AI-generated voice of them. The song was called "Heart on My Sleeve." It was taken down by Universal.
I heard of that. I heard that when I was like going through Instagram. I was like, what is everyone talking about? There was all these like memes and stuff about it. They made a song, and I actually like when I listened to it, I couldn't tell. I was like, wow, that sounds like them.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's kind of weird. Have you guys?
Brian?
Which one? Yeah.
Like any of the AI
I
music
do feel
stuff.
like the Frank Sinatra was crystal clear. You can make that out so well. It was like no denoising.
Yeah,
Like
that was
nothing.
Yeah, it was just
It's
weird.
crystal clear. Shows how far AI is coming.
Yeah.
And the metal one, the drums were so realistic.
Yeah, the drums specifically. I think the little guitar parts kind of sounded a little wonky, but like the drums and the rhythm was like.
I would say in
spot
all
on.
three of those, it's the AI has really mastered the drums. I don't know, that might be the easiest thing for it to pick up on.
It might.
It's
be.
all, rhythm versus like notes. I know as a percussionist, it's quite easier to play drums than to play like anything else. But
Maybe.
Also worth noting that the it picked up on some of the synth, with the progressive metal.
yep.
Yeah.
So it was really, that's pretty easy to do too. I've dabbled in some keyboarding, but yeah, it's just amazing that the AI can master some of these things. Well, it's also computer generated, so I mean, it's close. You can probably play a keyboard on the computer nowadays, so it's something that the computer can adapt to.
Yeah, that's true.
Have you guys seen anything like those like in the past, or like just stumble across it?
There was one that I saw that was like, I saw it on social media, and then one of the YouTubers I watched that's like a tech person would like reacted to it, and they played it in their video, and like at first they kind of said like this little like lie that like this is a new song by whatever, so like people would believe it, and then he revealed that it actually wasn't. And I think since he like told me it was originally, and then I heard it, I was like, I think it was like Kanye West or something, and
Right.
it sounded like completely identical. It was crazy. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, that's scary, because at that time, this was not that long ago, but at the time that was like the most like improved, advanced thing of AI that I've seen in like a real use case. Because half the time I see these things on like social media that are like AI generated, and it's like, this has no real use, it's just fun. But like now AI has started to, have a real effect in certain applicaing and stuff. It's,
Can be used to deceive people. Already is. I think.
yeah, I feel like there's a level of like bad that could happen with this. Like it's very cool and fun, but like there's also a scary side of it. It's
Yeah.
like
There are some positives to it, which we can get into later.
Yeah,
But
I think we'll talk about ethics a little bit more down the line. But since we're all demoing, I guess I'll have to bring up a demo. So my topic is video editing in AI. And so a little bit about me is I love to like create content, edit videos, stuff like that. And so when I first discovered like AI and video editing, I kind of like laughed at it because I'm like, oh come on, like that's not real, that's not useful, that will never catch on, blah blah. And then as more and more of this AI talk has come about, and recently it's really kind of leveled up, and now there are some great like video editing tools and some stuff that I recently learned, which I don't know if it is exactly AI, but some of these companies are like, yeah, we have AI in our software, and I'll show you a couple demos of some inbuilt tools. So real quick, to give this some context, there is a plugin for Adobe Premiere Pro called Autopod. What Autopod does is it is a multicam editor using AI, and basically it can determine, so I'm going to use us for an example here. We have 3 cameras, 3 people. It can determine who's talking and which like camera they would be, and then know to cut to that camera based on who is talking. And if they are all talking over each other, it cuts back to the wide where you can see all 3. And it's pretty smart. It's pretty good. I'm going to show you a demo here in a minute. But the other thing that I would say is that it cuts every single time someone talks. So if you were to say like one word, it would cut. So I feel like there's a lot more cutting than maybe you would see in like a real cut by a human podcast, because sometimes another person's talking, you don't immediately cut to them, give it like a second. But here, so this is Parker Wallback from Full Time Filmmaker. It's a YouTube channel, and he was just demoing this plugin. So we're going to watch this edit itself. Let's see. It takes a second at first, but there it goes.
wow.
Yeah, it's really fast. It's scary.
It's cool how there's like continuity, like some sections are more dense with like longer shots and some.
Yeah, I believe, so I watched the rest of the video, which I'm not going to show here, but he went through and he like watched through it, and those longer sections is just like a person talking for longer. And then he also went through and manually cut this podcast, and what he said at the end was like, it cuts a lot more, and if he were to edit it himself or have his editor do it, it would be like a lot less jumping, because I feel like if you jump too much like between cameras, it can be like really distracting for the viewer. But what are your guys' thoughts on that? I'll put that back up. I'm just gonna go to that last frame. We could talk about that.
Well, I think that's really cool how fast it can do it. Has there been like have they shown the final product with that?
Yeah.
Or like how
yeah.
good it is?
So they showed it. You can watch this video on YouTube. I have the link for it in my Google Doc actually. It is good enough. I think for most people it would, they wouldn't really think too much about it. But me kind of being in the video editing realm, I think I might watch that and be like, why are they cutting so much? It's that part's a little jarring of it. So I feel like if it could be a little more human and maybe a little less cutting, because also it would only cut to where someone was talking, but a lot of times you want to get like these reaction shots where like say like I'm talking, but we cut to you and it's on you even, and you're like nodding and stuff like that. Like it wasn't intuitive enough to know that kind of stuff. So I think that it's cool for speed, because it did it in 47 seconds, but it's not very practical if you're trying to like make a good podcast that people want to watch. Also, I think the AI is very limited. They're very good at certain tasks because they're trained on things, but it doesn't have a whole lot of creativity, I would say. It can only copy what's been done. There's no originality. The one thing that he talked about here was that, you know, this plugin is $30 a month, and although that sounds like a lot, it's cheaper than paying his editor full time. Like having a full-time employee is going to be a lot more expensive, which is a little worrying because I think maybe when I'm older I want to do some video editing and stuff professionally. But I think that there is an element of human touch that AI can't do, and that's why it's only kind of a tool to jump off from. Like maybe you do this and then you go back and you recut how you want. And this is like the base, maybe like say 90% done or something like that.
Just wondering, like if you have a genre such as horror or comedy, the AI is not going to know to like, add the extra cut for laughing or add the extra cut for suspense. So I just feel like in certain genres this would be irrational.
Yeah, it is. So it's a multicam editor, and I would say most typically the multicam things would be like podcasts. I mean, I suppose it could do other multicam things, but I think if you were to try to make like a styled, you know, mini movie or short film, I don't think that would be like good for this because it's trained on just switching camera feeds essentially, and that's why it's called Autopod. Like I'm pretty sure it's made
Just for
podcast. Yeah.
Okay, and then the other demo that I wanted to show here was a tool within Final Cut that uses AI to identify the subject and the background, and then to remove the background like without like a green screen. In traditional, usually you'd use a green screen and you have to like maybe mask out the person or whatever. This is just like using its like understanding of like subject and background, I guess, and just like, so I have a little demo here. I don't know if there's going to be any audio. Actually, let me put it up.
This is a demo for the scene removal mask in Final Cut Pro, and right now you can see the background mask.
So that's the tool in Final Cut there with that like red background.
Effect. The background should disappear like so. So hopefully now.
So you look at this and it's like, it's okay, but if you were to really inspect it closely, you look at the edges, you can see there's a little bit of like movement, and the cutout is not perfect. If you look at the bottom of my sweatshirt and my arms right now, it's like flickering.
Yeah.
So like it's not 100%, but it's pretty good for how quick it can do it. Literally, you drag and drop it on and it works instantly. I mean, you can spend hours masking someone out, drawing little dots to like completely outline them perfectly, and it will look much better than that in the end result. That is true. But for the amount of time it saves, it's pretty good, you know? Go ahead.
It might not be like perfect as of right now, but with you know, technology improving exponentially, it might, maybe in a couple of years or maybe even a couple months, it'll get it down perfect.
Yeah.
But
And then the only other thing that I wanted to kind of touch on was some of the tools in Final Cut. So I'm not going to play the audio here, but in this clip of me talking, this was one of the first clips I did before I decided to do it in a different room in my house. There's a fish tank just off screen with a pump or a motor running, and you can hear that kind of low frequency hum in the recording. So the great thing about Final Cut is that they have all of these audio tools in the right hand side of the screen. Actually, I can make this a little bigger. They have all of these audio tools where you can do all kinds of things. So one of the AI tools within the audio editing side of things, where is it, is audio analysis. So I just hit this little magic wand right here, and the AI will analyze the audio and then make adjustments where it sees fit. So if I just click that, in literally seconds, it fixes my audio. You can see there's a bunch of green check marks. It says fix here. It lowered some of the loudness. It kicked up the hum frequency to 60 hertz. And then if you want to take that a step further and you want to completely eliminate like all background noise, say you're like filming like outside and there's a bunch of background noise, you just click this button up here, voice isolation, and then it literally just completely gets rid of all background noise. If you look at the waveform, you will see that if I'm not talking, there's just nothing in between. There's just all these big gaps in between, which usually would have static, hum, whatever, but it only has the audio. The only thing is, I feel if you crank this all the way up and you listen back to it, it can sound like you're underwater, which is not great. But these tools are available. They do use AI. A couple other things I wanted to mention, but I don't have any demos for them. In other NLE video editors, and for those of you who are not aware, NLE is non-linear editing. For other video editing softwares, there's DaVinci Resolve and Premiere Pro, where they all also have built-in AI tools. DaVinci Resolve has Magic Mask, which is essentially the same as a scene removal mask, but in my opinion works a lot better. It has auto transcriptions and transcription editing. I've never used like words to edit, but basically it will transcribe all of the words in your video, and then when you click on a word, it will bring you to that point in the video, and you can cut your whole video just off the words, which is really fascinating. It will go in and it will take out the silence in between. So like if you're doing multiple takes, or maybe you just like had like a pause or whatever, it will go in and take that out. Like, I don't know, the AI can tell silence and just chop it. It's amazing. Premiere Pro and I think DaVinci, they have auto recropping. So let's say I make a video on here and it's horizontal, but I want to upload it as a short form video on social media. It will automatically keep the subject in frame and recrop it, as an 9:16, so I can throw it up on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. There's also some other features. Yes, right. So there is this whole thing in Final Cut where it will analyze video and audio like you saw, but there are certain tools like transitions and stabilizations and things like that where it will analyze the video and then it could generate frames based on what you're trying to do. There's this thing called the flow transition where it's supposed to seamlessly flow from one clip to another, and it will actually generate frames in between, so it's a smoother transition. It will also, there's a, can't think of the name of it. Oh, when you are trying to do super slow motion, if you go beyond a certain speed, all of a sudden the slow motion gets really jittery, but you can do super slow motion and do like an optical flow, and it will use AI to generate frames and kind of smooth that out. So it's really, so it flows smooth. It's a great tool. I've used it a lot. There's a couple other AI video editing tools out there. There's a website that is, you download it as like an application on your computer. It's called Gling. Gling is an AI video editor. You don't need an editing software. Gling is the editing software. It's supposed to be able to go through multiple takes, pick out the best ones, cut out the silences in between, and it can do transcription editing. And I've never used it, but I watched some videos on it, and it's good, not great. One of the examples I'll give is that one of these YouTubers I watched did an AI battle between like a human editing a 30-second clip and Gling editing it, and the human had these pauses in here for like comedic effect, and obviously the human left them in and the joke landed. But then when Gling got a hold of it, it's like, oh, he's not talking, and it just cut it out, and then it wasn't the same kind of flow. It didn't feel like a joke. It was very kind of unnatural watch as humans. So I don't think it's great, but there are things out there like that.
I might also add, at least that's how it is for right now. If you guys have heard of Moore's Law, it states basically, it's like a theory that every like 2 years or so, the amount of like transistors in a circuit board will like double, and technology will become like smaller and smaller over time. But there's a lot of continuity in that, like among different types of technology. So in AI, I mean, if it follows any patterns with like how fast it's been developing recently, it's just going to keep speeding up over time until eventually, I mean, I don't know if you guys saw that that YouTube video that Patsy sent us, but that was kind of interesting. How there's that one guy who was just using AI as the sole source of content,
Yeah, so to give a little bit more context to what he's talking about, there's this great YouTube video. Actually, a couple YouTubers have made some videos on this topic, but basically there is an old YouTuber named Quebblecop, who I guess is not making his own like content, you know, with like his face on camera anymore. But what he did was that he trained like an AI model to basically make these like mainly like reaction style and stuff videos for primarily children. It is cool and good, but not great and accurate. I watched it and it's like, you know, like wow, that's awesome, but I feel like there's still a level that, you know, a human reacting to it achieves versus a computer like reacting to it. Like, I don't know, you could talk more about it if you want.
I don't know. I mean, I think the scenario right now is for children's or children targeted YouTube channels. It sells well right now, which, I mean, you know, there are moral implications to like children being the testing ground for this, but this guy who was doing all this like AI generated videos, he said that eventually content creators who are just people who just make their own content are going to fall into irrelevance in the future, because companies when they're picking someone to sponsor, it's a lot easier to control someone if they don't if they don't actually exist.
That is an area I did not think about. I mean, the AI could basically say whatever a company wants, you know, and I think that holds a lot of power. Yeah, let's talk about some good and bad ethics-wise. Brian, do you have anything you want to add to any of this conversation?
Of course. I found online something concerning, go away Adobe, ethics with AI art. So, okay Adobe, go away. It says that AI art cannot be copyrighted. So basically, if you were to generate an image, you cannot apply your own copyright rules to it, mainly because you're using other people's images. It's trained by data sets which plug in images. Like, say I want a dog, takes Google, finds an image of a dog, and then it trains it through that. So, and then you could be an artist out there making your own dog, and then all of a sudden, it's taking it away from you, it's taking your copyright, and it's causing issues within the community. So, DeviantArt has done that. They've gotten into some hot water doing that. And then, really, it's kind of sad that we're taking stuff from other people just to train our AI marketed tools. And then, really, that's all I have to say about that for so far. I mean, it has just some good properties for it, like I mentioned before, blocking, like writer's block or artist block, where you can just create your own stuff just to mimic almost, not really just take the whole thing and publish it like, say, Quebblecop did on his channel. But other than that, it's good for efficiency, it's good for inspiration, not good for directly mimicking people's work.
Probably also a good time to bring up some good things that AI has been doing, just large scale. So first off, there's COVID research. It's helping a lot with that. There's also just a lot of stuff with like medical. So like there's one called CADU, which is an AI tool that analyzes pictures of a patient's esophagus to detect if they have cancer or not, which will mean that they can capture it earlier. There's also there's one called Equal Voice, which was developed by Ringier, which I believe is like a media company that analyzes the balance of their gender representation in media so that they get like equal voices for it. So that's cool. And then there's Ocean Mind, which that's an organization that uses AI to prevent illegal fishing, which if you don't know, that's like a huge issue for the economy because it's really easy to get away with. It's also associated with like other various crimes, but they can basically pinpoint people in being in like places that they're not supposed to be, and immediately send the violators to law enforcement, which can do a lot to prevent that, because illegal fishing can cause like environmental damage as well as economic. And then finally, there's Artemis, which draws data from sources. This is a quote, by the way, directly from the article. It's a WeForum article, so it draws in data from sources such as business licenses, public records like credit defaults and online reviews, among others. Then it identifies businesses and individuals, which it calculates to be those most likely to be involved in human trafficking, which is a really important step to take to prevent like crimes and like people from doing bad things. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think that, like anything else, there's two sides of the coin. There's good and bad. I think that it is great as a tool, but I also think that it could be bad, like if it gets in the hands of nefarious people. You guys have seen those like things where people will put like celebrity faces on like other, people and make them say things that they didn't say, and I think that could be really harmful, if someone sees that and like thinks it's real or whatever. I saw some crazy thing on TikTok that was like a video of someone like deep faking Joe Rogan, and like it looked and sounded like Joe Rogan was saying these things, but it wasn't. There's this other really popular guy on TikTok, like deep fake Tom Cruise. He puts Tom Cruise's face on his face, and like it's insanely realistic. And I think that kind of deep fake technology could be really dangerous and bad and nefarious. But like you said, there's a lot of benefits with AI, like everything you just mentioned.
Right.
I think for right now, it's a great talking thing, and there's a lot of talk about it, but I don't think there's any definites in either direction. I think we're kind of still in the middle of it. I still think it has a long way to go before we should really be like concerned, regardless of what the media might tell you. But I think that AI is a cool, fun thing to talk about, right? I mean, great topic for a podcast. Come on.
So yeah, we hope this was a very good, maybe informative, maybe you learned something along this episode. And thanks for watching.